Man, I really hurt myself today.
You only hurt the ones you love.
What's that guy do with me? I accidentally banged my hand against the side of a. I was in the 7-Eleven get some coffee, and I guess I knocked my hand accidentally against one of the tables in there, or the area where you get the coffee. I was like, wow, like that hurts. And then as the day went on, I was like noticing that I was in extreme pain actually. It seems to calm down though.
Do you think you'll be okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. If anything, I'll
Do you
sleep on
want
it.
Do you want me to call someone to help you?
Dang it, Jock. No. And Anime4All, welcome to the next episode of the Anime4All podcast, season 2. We are continuing on with well, at least the finale to the Anna and Yo love backstory, and also we get a chance to see what's happening present day finally after 4 parts, which they were all good. Every single part was good, and I loved every single bit of it. But I'm glad we're progressing with story. But I guess as we do that, we're going to talk about the final finale to Mount Osore Le Volet. And hit with me is Jock, aka Sperry Magic Helmet. Also,
Hey,
before you do move on, I want to bring up the fact that
how's it going, everybody?
based on you might be listening to this from a different well, I mean, a lot of you who are watching or listening to us through Apple and Google. Well,
It's really nice talking to everybody.
that won't change. But the spot where we're hosting the podcast has changed. I had to make some executive decisions on my end to make this a little bit easier on me monetarily. So nothing should have changed. I hope not. We will probably see. It'll probably take a little bit before I guess all the people who were listening to us come back or ever find us again. But I guess that's the price I pay for changing in the middle of a month.
It's okay though, because even though he's not going to do as much hard work on his side, I can still do all the work I'm doing.
Nothing will be changing on my end other than my what's coming out of my pocket, which is absolutely nothing now.
Right. So he's just here to like talk, and if it ever makes money, he's here to make money. But I'll still do all my research and make sure that everything's good for the audience.
We're
So
gonna move on.
don't worry, guys. I'm still gonna work hard, even if he's not doing his part.
Moving on, we're on, reviewing episode of Shaman King episode 33.
I won't abandon you.
That's an odd title name.
No, that's what I'm saying. I won't abandon him. I won't abandon the audience.
The summary is short and
For
sweet.
me, I'm very devoted to this audience, and I just need them to know that I'm going to be there for them if they need me. Guys, if you ever need somewhere to stay or someone to talk to or just anything, you know what I mean? If you're going somewhere and you need to drop your dog off and have someone take care of it, or it's just
Actually, I think one of the positives here about this new hosting site is I think we can get responses now.
I can babysit if you need someone to come babysit.
I think we can get.
I just don't want them to feel like they're alone, you know?
Oh, they shouldn't. I think we can get responses to this stuff now. I think.
What?
To these podcast episodes, I think. Either that or because I guess whenever an episode does go out, it should get tweeted out. We might be able to get responses. I think. I have to work on that. Don't copy that.
I'm not copying anything.
Oh, these things. Okay, this is what it is. We can actually have polls apparently with these things, and also we can get we can actually post questions to these things through Spotify. Oh, there's actually quite a few things I didn't know Spotify offered, and now I'm aware that they offer it. So I had to be reminded of this. I guess if you ever have any questions to pose, Jock, for this episode here that we're doing right now.
Okay.
So yeah,
Do you mean I have to ask them then? Is that what you're trying to say?
no, I mean if you have any questions you want answered, and you just remind me, I guess type it in so I can remind myself to add it into the thing if there is a poll we want to pose or anything like that.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, we could probably even ask I guess what animes people want to watch. Okay, we'll get to that. There's actually a lot of things now that this free site offers that the paid one didn't.
Did
I,
anyone answer my questions from the past?
no, no, not really. And I feel like it
Oh,
has.
okay.
I feel like it has something to do with the fact that people are listening probably had no way to respond to
What?
a
Are you
vocal
sure?
thing.
I mean, I just told them I'll be there for them. I offered my house to them if they needed it. I just don't understand why these people can't reciprocate.
Okay, I guess with all that out of the way, we're just gonna talk about anime as a way to make that awkwardness just slowly decrease on my end of this. Um,
Oh, now you're the hero. The one that just downgraded the entire service is now the hero.
actually, I upgraded us. Actually, there's a lot of things we did not have here that are available to me now.
Uh huh.
So this
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah. You deserve a medal at this point.
I can't mute you. Watch it.
You can't mute me.
Yes, I can. It's called a
No.
mutiny for a reason. Okay. Episode 33 of Shaman King. Uh, I guess a good we could talk about this in general here is the I guess the overarching strokes here is that the demon that Anna spawned the last episode got a power up after running away with her and demoralizing her so much to the point that demons were congregating around her. Apparently, when as Yo was heading up to the mountain where the demon is, the old man giving him a ride, Masamune is kind of giving him his like his farewell sayonara speech. We pretty much
What does
find
he
out.
say?
I was gonna get to that if you just
Oh,
let me. Get...
it doesn't
I
take
hope
much to throw you off balance, does it?
I hope people get this as a stick and they're not taking anything seriously here.
And some, you know that like the way I'm gonna die someday is through like a mob with pitchforks and torches. We both know that. We just kind of like I'm just leaning into it at this point.
Apparently, he wants to die with people stabbing with
I didn't say I
pitchforks.
want to. I just don't see how it's not gonna happen.
You could just not be you.
How do you gotta? I gotta be me.
Okay, Matsumune gives his whole spiel about like that he's very low on Furyoku, and right now he doesn't have the ability to take on the demon. And the one thing that keeps on, I guess, the one sentence that keeps on, I guess, pervading the entire four parts is that demons can only kill demons. Meaning Matsumune has got to be the one to attack the demon. We first find out this necklace with these claws on them apparently is the medium that was holding Matsumune in place or keeping him physical because the spell that Howl made is what allowing him to have a physical form. Essentially, he says he's got to give all his Furyoko into making this giant oversoul, which is a giant blade that is called a demon slayer. A little bit on brand, if you say. Let's
Well, it's
get
a demon. Yeah, I mean it's there to kill a demon, so it makes sense that it would be the demon slayer.
Yeah, I find it interesting to get a chance to see Yo be a little bit more emotional here. We've very rarely seen Yo display too many emotions. We've seen him display anger, but here we saw him display sadness and anger.
A lot of sadness.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was
But he's
crying. He was
young
losing his
too.
best friend. I mean,
He's
yeah, he
young
was.
too, and like part of the theme of this is that like a lot of stuff is kind of throwing him. Like he fell in love instantly too. That seemed a little out of character from what we know later. We kind of see him grow up a little bit, in some ways that like here he's got love at first sight. He's crying. He's got other reactions. You know what I mean? He's out of his league at one point, which is something that he's almost incapable of feeling. Like he's out of his league in any other situation. Um, I don't know. Even like, I mean, he's even kind of goofy when he gets slapped, and he's like, my first slap in the face," and he's all like head over heels about it. Like that's kind of fun, but kind of silly too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of themes here. I guess I didn't bring this up about Anna here. I'm just not looking at this. Anna, like the demon that was feeding off of her Furyoku, bringing the demons. Apparently, Anna has not like. I guess at this point, even though how young she is, she hasn't depleted her spiritual energy. which is odd. I mean, this is the kind of thing with her. They saying that she was really powerful. She has an abnormal amount of spirit energy. I guess this is just like feeding into that whole idea for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. You also see that Anna also has a lot of baggage. A surprising amount of baggage. Actually, speaking of emotions, she is showing a lot of emotions that she does not display in present day. Um, it's actually very shocking, and I've also kind of felt really bad for her. Like here, like she even brings it back to like something happened to her mother, something happened to her father, something happened to her brother. I didn't know she had a sibling, but apparently she did. Um, something apparently a lot must have actually happened to her. I guess a lot has to do with the fact that her emotions bring in demons, and it's probably what actually happened to her family. Uh, Yo does for the first actually in this is in the past. Yo does his first soul integration with Masamune, which brings out the giant demon slayer, and the demon is kind of afraid at this point, wondering where the cat went, asking constantly where the cat went. Like I guess the medium soul, I guess the medium soul that he saw in front of him. Uh, Anna, you also bring up here that Anna also is kind of a lot like how here that she's kind of fallen in. I kind of actually kind of curious with her, the whole idea that Anna was kind of like how at this point is are they going to try to get like because the whole theme here was trying to get Anna to open up her heart. Is that what they're going to try to get how to do here in the future? Because it seems like he's too far gone at this point.
He doesn't. Oh, I see what you mean. How do you think they're gonna try to save How? It's not impossible. I mean, I feel like you'll see in my notes I mentioned many times that there seems to be this definite pattern in his personality where like he's continuously like showing over and over again how he can convert somebody to the side of good. Like even you're seeing it with excuse me. You're seeing it with even Lyserg in the second episode, for example, that like he Lyserg, there was a moment in an earlier episode where he's like, I can't let him change me. I can't let him turn me around. And he has to kind of fight it like actively to like make it work at all. Like otherwise you almost feel like he would just change, you know what I mean? And become like a good guy like the others. Like he really wants to, deep down in his heart, kind of like switch over and become one of them. So I don't know. You see that moment, you know what I mean, where he's like kind of like resisting it, but he can't quite get over there. But like other characters too, like he's been turning them around little by little, except for like Marco and Iron Maiden, like are just about the only 100% holdouts that just don't seem like they're ever going to change who they are, you know. But even then, he found a way to work with them. So it's hard for me to think that that how changing how might not be the kind of like plot twist that is inevitable here.
Well, the only reason I say that is because like I mean, even though Anna was kind of like how here, Anna wasn't the real enemy. It was the demon that ended up forming from her hatred. Like
Right.
and also with the whole idea of demons and demonic possession and whatnot, who's to say that maybe the demon that Hal ended up manifesting didn't possess him in the process?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just saying it's a possibility if Hal really isn't in control, and if Hal was feeling the same resentment towards humanity and feeling betrayed, and it's what led him to his demise to begin with. Um, and they're saying that her emotions bring power and destruction and whatnot. So her emotions are really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Hal is the same way. Then his emotions are really powerful as well. Uh, Funnily enough, we haven't really seen him display many emotions. He seems to be the most laid-back villain I've ever seen in my life.
How?
Yeah.
It sort of fits the whole the motif though of like the shamans. Like the better shamans all seem to be kind of serene, don't they?
Uh, I mean, what about Ren? Ren doesn't seem all that serene. He's one of the better shamans.
Um, yeah, but he's getting as he gets more peace with himself. I feel like he's getting better. Maybe I'm wrong, but you're seeing him like as he gets closer to Hal, like you're seeing him chill out a little more and more as well. He's not quite on the same warpath he was on once upon a time. He's got more demons to deal with too. Like he's farther out, but I bet as he continues to get more powerful, he'll also calm down and become a more level character. I think if anything, like his attitude might be a sign of him being held back, and as he throws it away, like continues towards the path of good and towards like a more serene path, that you'll see his power continue to be unlocked in the process. And at the end of the second episode we watched, he thanked Yo, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he thinks in Chinese. Um,
Right. So I mean, you're starting to see him come around even now. Like he's making some progress.
but he's not mellow though.
He's not what?
He's not mellow though. He's not mellowed out.
He's mellowing though. Like he went from being someone you thought maybe was like Yo's complete like nemesis or one of his two nemesis to actually at a point now where he's kind of like a little more chill and friendly and you know kind of like he's still putting on a good show, but you now feel like maybe it's a show.
Yeah, I
I
know,
think it's
but I
sort
mean,
of kind of like Vegeta.
he's
Like,
still really not mellowed out. I still feel like Vegeta's kind
well,
of. I still feel like Vegeta's more mellowed out than like. I mean, he isn't like he isn't like blah 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 Principal Sans as much anymore. You know,
think
he's
of here.
trying.
This is what I mean. So Vegeta in the Saiyan saga was out to destroy the Earth. You know what I mean? And he was like pretty. He was killing Nappa, his own team member, and stuff like that. Vegeta in the Namek saga was still pretty amped up. But I would say my opinion of the way I would define it is that he was mellowed out by then. That he was kind of like willing to work with the team. And that's where I feel like this guy is. Like he went from kind of like being like, loose cannon, like on a warpath to willing to work with the team. And his personality might have not shown a difference yet, but he's got attachment now. Like he's got affection. He's got some things that like um make him just not quite like all the way over the top.
No, I get that. And that's we're poking fun. And we're trying to poke holes in Ren. But but I guess before we get to that, all
They're
that.
wearing him down. They're wearing him down.
I mean, yeah, I get all that. I'm just saying. I was just kind of poking holes in Ren, just for the sake of poking holes. I do have quite a bit to say about Ren actually, especially with his revival. But we'll get to that in a minute because that's in the present day. We're still in the past. But not for too much longer though. As like the fight is happening between the demon and Yo and him going back and forth. Yo is taking body parts off of him, making him freak out. They have hmm?
Nothing.
What?
I didn't say anything.
Yo
I
is
said hot.
slight.
They said they were taking body parts off him, and I said the hot. That's hot.
Yo is slicing and dicing the demon. The demon is getting scared at this point. So much to the point where he's trying to insult Anna to get her to, I guess, get her back to where she was when he was, when she was hating humanity. And as it seems like he's about to win, with reverting Anna back, she first turns around and says that she may hate humanity, but her love for Yo is stronger. And it was probably the cutest thing she's ever I guess, cutest thing she's ever said the entire show, which is kind of funny because this is just her in the past. But I guess this is one of the things I was thinking while I was watching that. I was watching that happen. I was like, this really shows that like it makes sense the way Anna treats Yo. Um, she really, really, even though she doesn't show it in the present, really, really depends on Yo to be her rock in a very, I guess, in a very not just spiritual, but like at a very emotional level. She knows that her emotions are dangerous. She keeps that face going, but I guess underneath all that, plus we know that she can hear his emotions in his head.
Yeah.
Uh, it shows that she is truly in love with him. As you said before, these two are truly in love with each other. It's a it's a very rare situation. Because I've seen anime where usually they're not in love with each other, or it's one sided, and it takes to the end of the series for that to happen. But it's actually refreshing to see it here, shown that it was there to begin with, and nothing changed.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was nice to see like, and it's not just a random like unfounded plot device either. Like it's actual legitimate. Oh, they really like each other. It's not just fabricated because it's convenient for the plot. Like they get along, you know.
Yeah, it's
No.
really refreshing that they actually do love each other, and it's actually showing here that they need each other. Anna, in this situation, Anna really needed Yo, and and it makes sense that why she's so hard on him to become the Shaman King. He made a promise to her, and she wants him to keep it. Unfortunately, as we get to present day, we know that he can't keep. Well, I guess there's a little if and and there, but it sounds like I don't think he'll be able to keep his promise to her for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, it shows that it looks like they had this bond that was there from when they were 10 years old to when they're 12 or 13 right now. So it's really cool that that actually transcended. And after that whole confession from Anna, Yo ends up killing the demon with Crescent Moon Purification, which I don't think I've seen he's used that move in the present. So it must be just when he's wielding Masamune, which actually after this point Masamune ceases to exist, or he moves on to the afterlife. Though Yo brings up the fact that he
They
wanted
were
to.
kind of back and forth about that because they're like he was like I moved on to the afterlife and I'll never be back. But then there's other moments where he's like, can I give you your body back? And I
Well,
couldn't figure
Masamune
out if
said
it was like
Masamune says I think he could, but also as you bring out the fact he said that after that he said that after the fight happens, for certainly my soul would have moved on to the other side to his resting spot. Like nothing is holding him to the world anymore.
the only thing I
Maybe.
could justify it with was like if maybe while he was the sword he could have been brought back, but once the sword the Furyuki was used up after that, like then it was too late. That was a possible interpretation of what was going on in my
It's
opinion,
possible.
but it was,
It's possible that Yo could probably, if he were to become Shaman King, he could take the soul. He could ask the soul to come back, and he could bind his soul to another body, like how
yeah.
How did it. Because I don't know, like how did it? Did he let the cat's body die at first, and then he made the body, or whatever happened there? We don't know the spell that Hal used to make him in the first place.
I sort of think I should have known, but I didn't. Like I got the feeling that like I should, if I was a smarter person, I would have known what was going on there, but I just didn't get. I just couldn't follow it enough.
I think basically what I took from it is the fact that he made it seem like he was gonna disappear. I mean, nothing is ever fully for certain. Suspicions, dying isn't really the end of anything. It's a possibility. Souls have come back from the afterlife. I don't think he's stuck there. It's that he can go on there now. He can be free because he can't physically touch or manifest in the world anymore. From what I got from it, he needs somebody to make him manifest now.
Mm-hmm.
But Yo wanted to give him a body so he could just walk around and do his own thing. So I'm pretty sure maybe what is to be understood there is that he could, in theory, if he knew how to do it, make him another body for him to exist in, or
Mm-hmm.
give him another spell for him to exist in. But I don't know if Yo can do that, or if he needs to be as powerful as Hal, because he mentioned that too, that Hal was really powerful is one of the reasons why he could do it.
He does bring the. To be fair though, he does bring the necklace with him, which it seems like he has at least hasn't given up hope that he can make this work.
Yeah, I say he couldn't. I don't know what the specifications because the during that entire exchange between each other, Hal is brought up, and how you just kind of saying Hal is just really powerful, and that's the reason why Hal was able to do so. So I don't know, like I guess what's the difference between Hal and Yo? If there is something that Yo could do to bridge the gap in power between him and Hal, maybe he could, considering that there's supposed to be two halves of the same whole anyway. So
Yeah.
I've always had this theory in my mind. There's got to be something to that. There's supposed to be two halves of the same whole to begin with. So
Right.
this maybe there's something that Yo can do to bridge the gap. I thought maybe since he said that apparently getting near death is what powers you up, maybe Yo dying once would probably help him increase the Furyoka amount that he has. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows at this point? Um, after the demons been killed and all the demons have been all been killed as well, all the bees that I guess were the mediums for these spirit demon sprites all land, and the number here is 1080, which is the number that you said I guess comes up a lot when they're explaining this particular four-part episode. Um,
Well, 108 were the different number of sins, and 1080 is that times 10, and that's how many spirits were feeding that big demon. So it's just interesting that it just seems to be a non-stop theme.
yep, it is. I guess it is odd, but after all that's taken care of, they're having their little resting time. I think it's a couple of days pass, and ends up heading, packing up and ready to go back home. He brings the fact that his grandmother wanted to stay to rest a little bit longer, but he says that he wants to give Anna her space because she stuck herself in a room again for a week.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that she still hasn't changed. Um, Yo ends up going on a train as he's prepared to he's I guess he's as he's moving as the train's moving. His grandmother apparently had given him some I forgot the name of it, but it's like an envelope thing that typically in Japan they attach to trees that grant wishes and whatnot. Montemune had made one, and I guess he never got a chance to put it up on a tree. Grandma gave it to him, and he was staring at it. And then there's this girl who comes up right behind him, and as he's sitting in the chair, and say, "Why don't you open it?" He looks up, and it's Anna. For whatever reason, Anna somehow got onto the train before the train started moving. I was trying to figure out when this happened because it seems really odd. She seems dressed. She seems really well dressed too for this being a random last minute thing to do. At
It
least in my
clearly
opinion.
looked like she'd completely planned the whole thing out.
To me, it seemed like she must have been on that train to begin with. Um, and she explains that she wants to change. She wants to gain control of her abilities, whether she has them or not, which is cool. So I guess at this point it shows that she hasn't resigned herself to not for to not being Shaman King, but
Mm-hmm.
she wants to be able to, I guess, in a case, in the off chance that doesn't become Shaman King, she wants to be able to control her abilities so they don't go out of control again. Um, Again, with the whole thing that Anna is really powerful. She's more powerful than most young girls that have her position are. Most young girls don't have her spiritual energy, so that's another thing. Uh, as she's about to, I guess, as she's explaining all of this, she ends up thanking for helping her, slaying her demons and whatnot, her inner demons. But I'm pretty sure she's probably got still plenty of more. Still, kind of confused about what was up with that in her crazy state. Talk about her family. I'm still wondering if I'm supposed to assume that demons were the reason that her parents died. I don't really know about that. I almost want to say that they had to be, considering that her emotions are what brings demons in the first place. That's the only thing I can think would have killed her, killed her parents. Um, and she blames the world somehow. But yeah, I think that's about it. Like, I mean, she ends up, she blushes and thanks Yo for everything, and then the next train stop, she gets off, and Yo is like waving back at her. I guess another comedic thing you bring up that the slap, his first slap, because Anna can in fact read read his mind. He comments that her being stubborn is cute. She gets all flustered and, well, as in anime fashion, cut away or from inside the train to hear two slaps.
Mm-hmm. And then he's got giant like red welts on his face, and he's like, "Bye, honey." She's like, "Yeah." And he looks like half dead, but smiling the whole time too.
I mean, he's probably into that. People got kinks.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
No, it's a good fetish to have, I suppose.
But yeah, that's but at that Prince that ends the
He's like,
entire
"Hey, daddy."
that ends the entire well, not end, it doesn't end entirely. After she gets off, and then it's a couple hours later, we see what was inside the envelope that Montemune had. It was three poems, and we don't see those poems again. We hear them mentioned, but we don't see those poems again. And I
I was
guess
so annoyed.
I
I
guess
was
we're
like,
probably
"Why
gonna
would we
see
do
the
this?"
poems at some point. I guess we're gonna have to see them at some point because they made us aware of Montemune. Uh, they made us aware of it on purpose. So like he's got to be important for something. I hope. Um, but we now know what happened to him because we haven't seen him in the present day, but we saw him in the past. So we now know what happened to him. It was really sad. So I actually did like that character. He was a really interesting random character to put into the show, but I think he wasn't a waste. I guess is the best way to put it. He wasn't a waste of a character, even though he died, quote unquote. Uh,
Hmm.
he wasn't a waste of a character. Like I don't feel like I was cheated, you know, getting to know him here for the amount of time they let us get to know that character.
No, I didn't think he was a waste either. I think he's actually super interesting, to be honest with you. But he's like sort of like almost like an old master and a Pokemon at the same time. If that makes any sense.
Uh, well, again, this show, the original, the initial manga came out early in the early 2000s. So Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z and all this stuff main would have been main leaders here. So I mean,
No, I'm not trying to say that they're copying Pokemon. I just think that like if um if an old like a wise old Asian style master was a Pokemon, this is what they'd be like.
I get it. I was just saying that. I mean, this was kind of a common thing at the time. Granted, I want to say that a lot of things that I didn't know. I'm pleasantly surprised, and I'm actually kind of glad I waited as long as I did to get into this because I've been wanting for years to get around to finally getting the real story of Shaman King, and I'm so happy that I'm able to finally get into it. Like this is
Yeah.
I had not been disappointed. Besides Yo dropping out of the tournament, which I wasn't expecting as a story plot point, but I mean I guess this is kind of equivalent to Goku dying in a really weird way. You know, they're removing him from the main plot for the time being on
Yeah.
purpose. So yeah, I guess with that we're gonna end the four-parter. What I like to call Anna and Yo's love story, which is essentially what that was. We got a chance to know we got to know more about both of them.
The
Ironically,
show really owned the show I felt really owned how much they loved Masamune. I mean, if you watch the did you watch through the post credits, like the credit scene?
no, I actually didn't. I do see you
It's a
mention that
giant like
apparently you find out that like he likes catnip, but he's a cat, so
no. There's the post credits, but the credits themselves when they roll is just like a giant montage of all the things that the show thinks made him great. Like you go through and like they're just like they're kind of like getting sappy about it. Like they're going through and like making it like all seem like very deep and sad that like he's gone and how much we're gonna miss him basically is like sort of like a theme of it. And you they just show like some sentimental kind of footage and stuff like that of like how great he was basically. So it's sort of interesting from that perspective, you know what I mean? That you're just like, oh, we lost a good dude, and like they make him treat him like he's a full character that was like a big deal that they lost, you know? Which I suppose makes sense given that he was you know 1,000 years old, and we don't know him that great, but like you know he's still 1,000 years old. But yeah, they treated him like a full, valid, like completely legitimate character. So just thought that was an interesting thing to set that they set some time aside to do. You know.
yeah, that makes sense. Uh, just I'm noticing there are some chats. I really need to pay attention to that whole chat bar. I need to do better about that next time. They're not there anymore, but I need to do better about that next time.
Okay.
Okay, with moving on, well, not moving on, but again, this the next episode we're reviewing, which is episode 35. Wait, 34. Yeah, 34. We actually get jumped right back into present day. We find out apparently what we were watching was a story being told by Yo, to Amidamara. So it makes me wonder. I wonder how much of that was embellished to make him seem better. I want to believe that that he told was actually how it happened because I can't see Yo making things up like
He
that.
doesn't seem like a bragging type, to be fair.
So I wanna believe that everything that was even though the parts that are about Anna were true.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah.
It was kind of cute how he was like, "Oh, my master, I feel even more loyal to you now than ever," you know. And he's like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, but it was interesting how apparently the entire four parter was just a story from Yo's perspective. I was like, because we cut away from it, we cut away from Anna when it starts, so like it's kind of odd that okay, we find out it's actually Yo telling the story, or maybe it was Anna at first and then it switched over to Yo. Who knows? Um, it was like I guess as he like after I guess as we're coming to the end of that story, he says like uh like well I'm at the tournament now, but I still things I gotta do. Anna shows up behind him. Yo is panicked as is any I guess male character who's married to a woman or going to be married to a woman is when their wife walks in behind them. He's like, Anna, I'm so sorry. Cut away, and we hear two slaps again.
Because that's just
What makes this even better is the fact that she says she's sorry. She understands and she's not upset. She forgives him. She walks out, and then Myanmar's like, "Oh, yeah, master, she forgave you." Turns around and yells in his own blood.
yeah, just a pool of blood and
I
death.
was like, "Jeez!" I was like, all I heard was KO fatality.
100%.
I was like, "Jeez, they really leaned into that." I think this anime was a part of like a subculture of mangas that did this where the woman smacked the main character so hard even though they really should be able to withstand it. They're over there really hurt. They did this to Goku. They did this to somebody in Bleach. They did this a lot in Naruto. It just like for the reason women have very unnatural power scaling when they get angry at a male character.
And the male characters are terrified of them usually.
So it's like like this is a part of that whole thing. Granted, here Anna has got a powers, has got enough spiritual energy in her to I think make that believable. So who knows if that was just done for comedic effect or he really was in his own blood. I
Oh, I'm sure it was some combination of both and not like one or the other.
always wanted to be real because it's like he's just in his own blood. But okay, we cut away from that. We come back. I believe the next thing we see is Tower Ren's corpse with an ice rib cage on him and the X laws over him and maiden the maiden about to revive him and we have a Trigun ripoff here saying maybe we should just bury him. This is when we first see a little bit of like Lyserg, I guess, coming around, realizing that this is wrong. They made a promise to Yo. He doesn't say anything. He just kind of sits there like with his mouth, like his mouth agape for whatever reason. Just like I'm surprised you don't say any dang thing.
Well,
Uh,
he'd just get killed. There's no one to save him. He would just get killed if that happened.
I don't know. I feel like maybe he could take Marco. I don't really know. We haven't seen what he's capable of right now. We haven't seen him fight in a while.
Yeah. They just, well, I mean, that's what this group tends to do. They just, like, their first choice is to, like, kill something, you know?
Like
As
I
soon as
really
it's
didn't like
time.
Marco at first, and I really don't like him here.
Yeah.
Not only is he a ripoff of a Trigun character, he's not necessarily a good one either. Uh, but next thing is like Tower rises from the dead. Jeez. Okay. I guess the four between between the rising from the dead and Rin being revived. Pretty much a lot of like what Rin's done in the past starts coming up in conversation, and we also see Rin's soul wrestling with what he did in the past. We see him reliving what he did to his patch member that was responsible for him, and we see Ren really regretting what he did and really feeling some serious remorse. It was a very weird kind of character development for him. He's dead and he's reliving all this. And he's regretting every single minute of it. So much so that as he's watching it happen, he's saying, "Please don't do it." I was like, I said, like, man, like Ren, man, you did this. You're gonna have to live with it and come to terms with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's only he's getting there. He's getting there to the point where he's able to come to terms with it. But you can tell he's really beating himself up over it. Uh, as that's happening, we see also apparently for the reason as well as to be done for dramatic imagery. It's Ren's soul as he's like trying to turn away from the image. You see him upset that apparently he saw it all happening. Yo giving up his spot in the Shaman King tournament to revive him. He's upset about this, and for whatever reason, there's this image of him like the gun. He's holding a gun that's like directly pointed at his head, and I didn't know where it came from. We come back in the real world where everybody's living. Marco's got a gun pointed at his dead corpse body, so I'm guessing for whatever reason he's able to interact with that. For whatever reason, I don't know what was happening there. It probably just done for
Not
effects.
sure.
It really caught me off guard because I was like, where the heck did the gun come from? And it looked like the gun that Marco was holding. So Marco's got the gun pointed at his corpse, I guess ready for Ren to come to life and attack the maiden. Which, by the way, I want to point out that Ren does not. In fact, actually, when Ren comes back to life, he just says, why'd you bring me? It was a waste of time, whatever." And Marco gets upset and attacks him. Ren pulls out his sword, defends himself. As this was happening, I was thinking, why did the maiden let this happen? She seems like a good person compared to everybody else that she surrounds herself with.
She's so rude.
Even with that, it just seems like she still seems like a good person.
If you say so, my friend.
I think her intentions are good. I guess that's what I said. I think her intentions are good. It's just her way of doing it is
She's pretty selfless. I'll give you that.
morbid. Uh, women can be selfless if you trap yourself inside of an Iron Maiden. Moving on from that. Uh, uh, I'm trying to like scroll through your notes here so I can come up with the thoughts I'm trying to say in my head. Uh, Pretty much Ren ends up getting brought back to life. Apparently, they bring up as she's about to do it. She brings up the Sleeping Beauty tale, and as this was happening, I was like, okay, who's gonna kiss him? Who's gonna kiss him? Is it gonna be a dude? And at first, they make it seem like she was gonna be the one to kiss him on the mouth, but apparently it was her spirit that did so. As Ryu jumps in through the window, it says, "Please kill me, maiden son, to revive me." I was like, "Good
I will die
gracious!"
for you.
Apparently, like Ryu had interrupted the revival, so Ren was brought back to life, but albeit with a scar in his chest where he was stabbed.
Ryu was pretty thirsty. Let's admit it. Let's just come to terms with how thirsty Ryu was in that scene.
Well, he doesn't have a girlfriend, so I mean, for obvious
He was
reasons.
He was thirsty as all hell.
But I guess with that display of power that Ren has shown against Marco, he definitely received a boost of power. I don't know by how much. It was noticeable enough for Ren to notice that he received an enormous amount of power. So I mean, whatever. I don't know what the boost was in his Furyoku level, but he got enough that it was noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
This is what that there. I mean, like the X-Laws now have succeeded in what they're doing. Marco, I don't know what's going on with that man. He's been giving these really strange looks that I'm gonna kill you. He's shown the most change and how he used to be to how he is now. For whatever reason, I don't know. I wouldn't trust him on the Iron Maiden. To me, it seems like he'd probably try to kill her too if he doesn't get his way.
How do you figure that?
When he asked her to let him stay dead, he was very upset with her response. To me, that isn't a response of somebody who worships her. At least not anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
If there was a person, if you worship that person, you would you respect her wishes, whatever they are, if you don't agree with them. But he didn't agree with her wishes at all there. It doesn't like she has any attachment to anybody there, but she's just trying to keep her part of the deal going. She seems to respect deals apparently.
That's important, at least. Yeah, she sounds like she's all about self-sacrifice and idealism and honor and all that stuff. So I'm not surprised that she held pedantically to it.
After all that's been done, we come back to Yo after he's gotten the Phantom Slap is what apparently Anime4All called it.
Mm-hmm.
Ren walks in. He's like, "What happened to your face?" I was like, "Jeez." Like he seemed very concerned when he saw his face. It was like, I had to talk about how how his ideals were like, what were revived and whatnot. But like he thanks him in Chinese. I think it's she. I think is what it is. I might have butchered that phrase. But he thanks, Ren thanks Yo for reviving him in Chinese. We see that the scar on his in his chest also reaches to the back on his back where the tattoo was, and apparently because it didn't heal, they broke the cycle of hatred, which was I guess in the form of that tattoo on his back. I guess another
Hmm.
form of like Ren moving on with his life, uh, or attempting to move on from what he did. He would also like to make amends, but right now the cycle of hatred that I guess was in his family has been broken now, which is freaking cool. I guess that's a tattoo that cannot be removed unless you take your skin off, I guess, or put a skin
Dude,
graft on.
like you've got to love the symbolism of it. You know,
What?
don't you? You've got to love the symbolism of like Yo's like actions like leading to the cycle of hate being broken in the sky. I can't ignore it. It's too obvious to me.
I mean, they were always there from the very beginning when he first had his first fight with him. I mean, you
Yeah,
could see that the change was happening and the cycle of hatred was kind of disappearing. So Yo has that effect on people who have hatred. You know, he lets them
yeah,
vent their hatred and then they're able to let their hatred go.
yeah. I just think it's super fun that like that's what's going on here. That's all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see it. I'm just saying that I saw it happening earlier on. I think it's more evident here because he died. Yeah, brought back to life.
Yeah.
He got reborn in a way. Um, uh, then at 1304, what I want to say here about, I guess, I forgot his name, the black guy, Choco Love, and the whole cheesecake thing. Uh, I think, and I've seen this type of like, quote unquote, humor here. I'm gonna go on the limb and call it humor. Um,
You're calling this humor. That's the
I'm
word that
gonna go. I'm gonna go on a
you don't
limb
have
out
any
here.
word that you could use, and you
I'm
went with
gonna I'm
humor.
gonna I'm gonna go on a limb and like this is a poorly translated joke because I think I've seen this type of joke done before where a character says something and then the other character, the joking character, tries to like make a joke with like using the same syllables or like there's a similarity here because of the kanji that are used to spell that. Um, I think they're similar. I guess as a joke, it's like a play on words type of situation. It makes no sense here because it's Japanese being translated to English. What is the biggest
Okay.
problem with Japanese jokes is that they don't work here in the states. Same
They
thing with
shouldn't be
American.
allowed. Japanese should not be allowed to make jokes.
I am in no way affiliated with this man. Japan, I really like to be able to walk around your streets one day when COVID is not a
I'm
thing.
highly affiliated with them,
I
Jason.
am not affiliated with this man. I do not know him. I only know how he got into the podcast. He's been here for a while now. Um, I told him to leave. He hasn't done it yet. uh, I think that's just what this is supposed to be. Because I know I've seen this similar thing done before. Because I think there was even a situation in My Hero with that comic dude. It was kind of the same idea as that, same syllables, sound effects and whatnot. Think jokes in Japan just don't translate over here well. And because of that, unless you really studied hardcore in Japanese, you probably would not get that. Unfortunately, haven't studied a lot. I only pulling from what I'm aware of when I was reading manga, hardcore back in high school. This was the type of joke that explained a lot. So I'm pretty sure this is what this is. But I forgot what he said before he said cheesecake. And you can refresh my memory what he said.
Uh, it's 1304, so we'd have to go to the episode and check. Hang on. But I'm sure that it was nonsense. It didn't make any sense whatsoever to me.
Again, Japanese joke translated to English is not gonna work.
It should be illegal. You understand that, right? Hey, cheer up already.
Cheesecake. Yeah,
I'm
I
just
think
trying to
there's
help out a
it's
teammate.
it's it's the
Teammate? Cheesecake.
yeah, there's I think it has something to do with like the kanji being almost similar. Like, it's a joke. He's a comedian, and this is like what he does, and comedians in Japan do this a lot apparently. Um, Again, something about Japanese jokes is not translating well, and Jock's gonna say it's illegal, and I'm just gonna move on and not even talk about it. Uh, as this is happening, Horror ends up like walking away from Chocolate, leaving him alone, and he walks in his disdain for Chocolo's really poorly translated joke. He ends up seeing the Iceman in trouble from Hal's goons, the big football dude and a Lego guy. Uh,
Literally a Lego maniac. Unambiguously.
I just tried to accept what was happening here and move on with my life.
It's just too much with the cheese head thing and then the Lego maniac, and this is supposed to be a serious scene, and we've got fake Naruto like as the main character of this part. Do I need to mention that there's a like football team as like one of the main enemies here that like are like attacking?
As Jock is sorting through all this, with the Lego guy and the football dude are gonna beat up on the ice team here because they're weaker than them. Apparently, their Furioka level combined is 200,000. The Lego dude and the football guy, and the ice team apparently collectively is 6,900, which I guess would be nice, but I guess not really. But as he mentions, Horo is going to stand in trying to stop them, but Horo has a situation where he's going through this whole thing in his mind. He brings up his father, and very quickly his father shows up because his little sister asked him to. I want to bring up too that that guy is really rude. Uh, for a guy that's came up to see his son, he was not the nicest of dudes.
Not at all.
Like I was like, how can this man be his father? was my not my exact wording, but I was like, this guy was a douche. I mean, yeah, he helped him out, showing him that he doesn't need to have a higher Furioka level to defeat these guys, but he could have been nicer about it. You know, like if anything, like that. I mean, it was cool that we got a little bit of like, I guess, story about like why Horror's the way he is with the whole survival of the fittest thing.
Mhm.
Um, is because of his father, but apparently his father also was not trying to drill that into his head for him to give up. He was trying to get him, to, I guess, to realize the other ways that he could, like, I guess, compensate for his lack of power. And apparently,
Mhm.
in this case, is to bond with a higher tier spirit, um, to gain the power because his father has one, and apparently his father's spirit is the leader of the tribe of spirits that his spirit is from, which is intriguing. And apparently, it's stronger than his, which is even weirder to me. Um, Bringing the fact that apparently trying to make an oversoul with somebody of a spirit that's higher tier than you'll lose your mind. Uh, I wonder if that's true or not. I guess I'll find out here because after all that happened, his father beats up on Big Bill over there and sends him on his back after again, his father is not a nice dude. This man literally saw his son was in trouble, and instead of going out there to help him, ends up getting plywood and makes a boat and goes out into the water and just sails away. Like, I don't know what type
He's
of
so
person this.
crusty about it.
I don't understand this guy. I really don't. Like he did. Like I mean, if he was helping, quote unquote, I don't think it was the best help.
Do you think he felt like he just didn't need help?
That's probably what it really was. But I just, just didn't like him. So I could care less about what he was trying to do.
Will we even see him again, do you think?
Probably not, considering that he's on a boat going home. The
I
only
know.
reason I would think you would see him again is if he somehow got lost.
Well, it's just like,
That's
I
the
don't know.
only reason I think you see him again is he got lost
It's a
somehow.
lot of work to build a character that they're not going to do anything else with.
I think they're mostly trying to work Horo's power up into this. Is really what they were trying to do, and I guess they used his father as a way to do so. We could probably see him again. Like I said before, I mean, the only way I could see them him bring his father back in for something is if like either Mikasa knew him by some really weird chance, or for whatever reason his father got lost. Uh, from whatever village they're from. Who knows? I mean, he could just be like he could be one of those people who just has really bad directions and comically shows up at very inconvenient, sometimes convenient times.
Yeah.
Who knows? Like I said before, just like he's on a raft sailing away from the fight. So like I was like, if he does show up, it'd be really weird.
I feel like he's gonna show up. I feel like we're gonna have like super convoluted reasons that he shows up that are just like absurd, and then that's what's gonna be behind it all.
I mean, again, he might just get lost and just somehow ends up rafting himself back to the tournament.
I mean, couldn't you see it? Like, what are you doing here? And then he comes up with some bizarre reason, you know?
I guess I mean his reasoning for showing up anyway was because his daughter asked him to. I was like,
Well,
okay.
the direction this is going right now, he could. They would be like, "What are you doing back here? I thought you left." And you'd be like, "I forgot my car keys." And you're like, "For a raft?" You know? And you're like, "Yeah, I got all the way back to the States and went to get in my car, and it was realized I didn't have my keys. I had to row back."
Also, Horo's father's Furyoku is 5,000. Um, I don't know how much Furyoku his spirit has, but it's definitely higher than his, and it was enough to knock Big Bill on his back and scare the Lego Man to death. And
Do
we
you think it
also,
was over 9,000?
more than likely, uh, and as this is happening, the Lego dude is now terrified. He drops all his Legos. I mean, all of them. And we see apparently that he's wearing a yellow bag over his face
Is
and
that the
torso.
Lego equivalent of shitting your pants?
I guess. Uh, we see that apparently he's a torso and a head, and his spiritual power is what's keeping the Legos on his body for him to be able to move around. We also see that if you actually look really close to the Legos that he's using to make the T-Rex, Hal's name is plastered all over them. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure Hal
Really?
made those things. It's the only reason why those things can probably be used with the way they are right now. They were made by Hal.
So if you were to ask him how were they made, he'd say how.
Why do you do this to me?
Every good hero needs a nemesis.
What are you in this scenario?
The nemesis.
I
You're
guess
the heroic podcaster trying to make good content, and I'm the troll nemesis that destroys the world.
with the Lego T-Rex well, not pursuit, but
See?
being made, essentially, Horo says that he's gonna I guess he's gonna take him on, and because apparently the spirit allies of Team Ice are now on his side. I don't know when this happened. It was a fast transition, and I'm actually kind of curious what's gonna happen now. Unfortunately, they decided to cut the episode off there, and I'm very upset because that episode was gonna be cool if they allowed him to fight in that same episode.
The episode was going to be cool. What?
The episode was going to be cool if they allowed him to fight in that same episode that he was looking really that he was about to I guess he was about to win. Unfortunately, they cliffhanged it, and I hate when they do that.
Yeah, if I'd known, I could have just included a third episode, but we didn't know.
I mean, no, of course we didn't know, but I mean, this is fine. I just I hate when they do this. I mean, I guess something to look forward to watch next time. So I mean, I can't wait to
Yeah.
see whatever happens here.
If the whole thing wasn't so silly, I guess I'd be more upset. But this was like one of the silliest things I've ever seen in anime.
You sir haven't watched a lot of anime.
The anime like spiraled into like ridiculous silliness right around the cheese thing.
Listen, he's a comedian, and I'm pretty sure the next episode probably is going to be revolving around him and his power up, whatever that's going to be.
I think we're going to trend towards a theme of finding ways to be strong that don't necessarily involve Furyoku.
And it makes sense because right now, like I mean, Hao's Ryoku is like the highest of the entire show, so they got to find some way to compensate for that.
Right. I think that's what we're going to learn is like everyone's learning about their powers, they're learning about techniques, they're learning about spirits. There's all these different pathways to power: reincarnation, getting a better spirit, finding new techniques and lost techniques and things like that, consuming other people's spirits and feeding them to your spirit. Now you have spirit allies. There's been undead. There's been the attitude that you come in with. You know what I mean? Not letting it, like your bad attitude kill your spirit.
Hmm.
I think we're just going to keep finding new quote unquote techniques that aren't really techniques. The biggest thing about this one is it's like a drastically new technique, you know?
I guess not really a technique; is more just like, okay, well, apparently a spirit can be strong enough for you to be able to blast past a more difficult opponent, which is freaking cool. Which I guess Yo must have known about this, which is why he doesn't seem all that concerned.
Mm-hmm.
We need to wonder, at the whole Mata and Mune are returning characters. I wonder if like Mata and Mune is going to make an appearance. Because it seems kind of odd that Yo would bring him up now when he could have like brought him up like 20 episodes ago. And it seems kind of odd that he brings him up now. Like and he's wearing the necklace that was his medium. So it is possible maybe Mata Moon is actually around and we just don't know it yet.
I mean, that necklace right now is almost like Han Solo's dice.
Explain?
Have you watched the new Star Wars movies?
I watched the trilogy. I've watched the first two. I have not watched the last one of that one, and I plan to at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it.
Do you watch the prequels? You at least watch the originals and the first two of the new ones, right?
I believe I have, yes.
Okay. So, in the original trilogy, there's a pair of dice that you just sort of see on the Millennium Falcon. Nobody really talks about them. They're just there. Nobody ever talks about them. And they become like a central point in the episode, like the third of the new episodes, episode 9. And it's just like the random thing that became extremely important that you just thought was kind of there. And the new canon from the old canon that nobody ever asked for or wanted. Except in this case, they pull it off.
I just had a crazy idea, and I'm gonna end the podcast off on this crazy idea. Um, so the medium, so basically, like the medium that he had used with Montemune was that necklace, and he pretty much made a giant oversoul on that necklace. Um, what would happen if he were to use the medium on a Midamaru?
Like, it's a me tomorrow?
Why, Jock? Why? I was trying to give some thought to that, and then he just runs with it and turns it into a joke. I'll let it happen.
Who's me tomorrow?
Amita Maru.
Do you mean Matamuni? Oh, I'm
No.
sorry. You mean his regular oversoul? I don't think that's how that works. I think it has to be something connected to the oversoul. I've never seen something not connected to the oversoul. Have you?
That snowboard the horror uses on that on his mini spirit. I don't think she has anything to do with snow. She looks more like a leaf sprite than anything else.
But
I don't think it. I don't
is
think
that
it
his
needs to
medium though?
be. I don't think it needs to be connected to because I don't think the sword. I think the sword that's attached to Amidamaru's past has already been broken. I don't think that's the sword that Yo's using right now. I mean, unless it is.
I thought it was broken a few times and they just keep fixing it.
I feel like it shouldn't matter because it's
I
not
thought how
like
often it broke was like
because
kind of becoming an ongoing joke.
it's like it's not like that it's not like that sword because like Ren has a sword that I don't think has any attachment to Bison, but he uses it with him. I think the thing that has attachment to Bison is that pole staff that he has. I don't think Bison's ever used a sword at all in his past that they bring him up on.
But is that really his medium though, or is
Yeah,
it just something he uses?
it's a medium because it's what allows it allows him to use the shaman powers. That's all a medium is.
Right, but how do you know that that's what allows him to do it? We've been tricked before, like
I
with
know it
other
is because he
mediums.
never the attacks that he uses with that sword. He doesn't use those attacks when he uses the long staff pole. He's never used them.
Mm-hmm.
He uses specific attacks when he's using the pole staff, and he uses other attacks when he's using that like that wooden sword thing that he's got.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe impossible for him to put Amidamaro into that thing, but it seems kind of odd that like I can't really imagine like because I don't think if he were to pull Manamune out of the afterlife, I don't know what that would do for him. Would he be the talking cat, or would he just be the cat that died that couldn't speak?
I'm not sure.
I feel like the way Manamune was is because of the spell. I could be
Mm-hmm.
completely wrong, but I can't really imagine like what that would do for him to pull him out of there. So my theory is that maybe he can use a Mitamaru in that thing. Because all that medium necklace did was just make a giant sword. Who's to say that maybe a Mitamaru doesn't have enough power? Because they bring up that Mitamaru's pretty old too. Not like 1,000 years old, but I mean they bring up that he's pretty old, and he's been getting stronger the longer he's been with Yo anyway.
And they tell us how old it was. Wasn't it 400 years or 200 years or something?
That Mitamaru.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
They do tell us how long he's been waiting. In the early episodes, how long he's been hanging around is almost like an ongoing joke.
600 years old.
Mm-hmm. So older than the penis spirits, not as old as the cat.
I mean, yeah, 4,000 years younger. I mean, 400 years younger. Jeez.
Mm-hmm. It makes him a respectable spirit, although it seemed like 1,000 years was like some sort of turning point.
Mitamaru's Furikyu is 30,000.
Probably not right now.
I mean, if it is 30,000, that's not a lot. I mean, like compared to how. Compared to how, it's like that's not a lot. But so I don't know what that necklace is specifically for. I mean, yeah, it was at the time it was used to it was a medium to keep him physically on the planet so he can walk around and touch things and eat. That was the only reason why he could do it because no ghost is actually this entire series. We have not seen a ghost actually partake in food of any kind, not once. The only ghost we've ever seen do that is Montemuni, and that was like back when he was still around. Even Masamune being a ghost could still use an oversoul, which still confuses me. Um,
Didn't that bone dog eat something?
no, I don't think he's fed him anything.
I somehow remember the bone dog eating something,
It's not Frankenweenie, right?
or at least chewing on a bone or something, which could be just more out of habit than obtaining food.
I mean, I don't see any images of him actually chewing on anything.
Maybe I'm wrong. It's more speculation than anything, but I thought. I mean, I would never have looked at that point in the anime, do you know what I mean, to think I should be watching for someone to eat something. But I sort of have this vague memory of there being something eaten.
And I mean, you could be right. Maybe he was chewing something, but I don't think if he was chewing something, that doesn't mean he was eating it.
I wouldn't mind if someone has left something about that in the comments. Did the dog ever eat anything? If you knew or do you remember, letting us know.
I guess a better question was, has there ever been a ghost besides Montemoni up to this point that has interacted with the physical realm? Because they do bring up the fact that Yo brings the fact that Montemoni has been sleeping, he's been eating, he's been taking baths. These are not normal behaviors of ghosts that he's seen up to this point.
Yeah. I'd be interested in people saying anything about that because I thought there was some like kind of gray area at least, but I can't say where.
They've been offered food before. I know they offered food to Minamaru, but Yo ate it because Minamaru can't eat. He doesn't need to eat. Being dead and all, but I guess with that, I guess we can end off here. This is like next to last podcast before Christmas. We'll be back next week for I guess catching up before the new year, and hope to see you guys there, and see you guys then because we'll be episodes 36 and 37, I believe. Wait,
Bye,
no,
guys.
35, 36. And what do? Do not go in the graveyard at night. You regret if you